And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts, plus also as well Game Source and Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Normally, Ox 1947 would be here and he would be touting LakersBall.com. Plus, he owns a company that you should support right away. If you're in the Southern California area and you want your lawn transformed into something much more magical than it is today, go ahead and support Simblades. Simblades with a Y.com. Again, he governs all that is with his voice as Ox 1947 at LakersBall.com. So go ahead and support him there. Also, as well, the guys, yes, a snack pack indeed, an impromptu snack pack that it is. We didn't want to leave you hanging on a Wednesday. Thought we'd go ahead and drop one on you for today. Some little snacks, some little tidbits going on there. But also, as well, our good friends at Lakerholics.com. Go ahead and check out the number one Lakers blogger that's out there. That is Laker Tom and Jamie Sweet. Those guys have had some interesting conversations, to say the least. And yes, I am kind of being vague. So you should check out why. And that'll be part of the show today. That's the reason why we're actually on the show, to go ahead and check out what they're doing today at Lakerholics.com with Jamie Sweet and those 5 things. And also as well, Laker Tom as well. Go ahead and check out what they're doing today at Lakerholics.com. Plus a good friend, Stone Hansen, right there at UpsideSwings.com. Upside Swings NBA Draft Podcast. John McCallion, he was streaming earlier today talking about his 50 pounds that he's lost already. He is still marching towards his goal. I think he said 80 pounds left to go. Congratulations, my friend. We're rooting for you, all behind you, and you can go hear that, plus also some great conversations today at the John McCallion channel on YouTube. Plus also as well, if you can go ahead and like, share, subscribe. Even though he's not here, go ahead down below on YouTube, the little beady eyes. Joe is always here, right there for you at YouTube. And go ahead, if you do subscribe today, or like us on Facebook, or follow us on Twitter, or just go ahead and check us out wherever you can. You'll get the latest notifications when we go live on the air with the Lakers Fast Break. And if you do so, it is sincerely appreciated. And since Joe has asked me to do this, I want to apologize on behalf of Joe Soros, since he actually loves my apologies. I want to go ahead and say Joe will not be with us for the next few days. I was gonna stretch it out and tease you guys that he was going to be gone forever because of his maybe his what was going on in his life, but no. He's just going to the wedding. He's going to Detroit. So he'll be gone for the weekend. He said he'll be back Tuesday. Him and his new coif, his new shiny, dark black coif, that is going to Detroit. And he'll be back with that on Tuesday. Sky Dweller says, I adore Laker Tom, but why is he trying to trade Vando? Jamie Sweet deserves an apology, Gerald. LOL. That is exactly what we're here for tonight, and that's exactly what we're going to be talking about later tonight on this show as well. Gerald says we want to see those pics of red hair. I didn't have, that's the only good one I could find, really, that you could tell. I mean, there was a couple other that are floating on my Facebook page that I've brought out. Most of mine are just like pictures that you can still see from I took during the 80s and 90s and early 2000s and whatnot. If I can find any more, I'll float it out there for you. But yes, I did have red hair once upon a time, long time ago, indeed. But it is the Lakers Fast Break. See, MagicMan still has his hair, and he doesn't need to dye it yet. So there you go. No grays creeping in, my friend? No?
Yep,
No
at the sides. I do.
Okay. Okay.
They're not as much as Sorrow. As much as Sorrow says stress doesn't get to him, the hairline doesn't lie, Joe.
Okay. All right. Well, I will say that, Joe Soro is way ahead of you on the gray right there for you. So he had to go ahead and take measures into his own hands. And once again, I would like to apologize. So he will not be here for the next few days. And I know he loves my apologies so much. I apologize. Again, he will not be here until Tuesday next week. So hopefully you'll still tune into us right here at the Lakers Fast Break, indeed. But it is the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you watching, listening. Hope we can get a nice crowd tonight talking Lakers here in an impromptu snack pack because the topic of Christian Wood still keeps coming up, and not just at Lakerholics.com, where those two, as Sky Dweller was saying, fighting with each other left and right about what's going on as far as the decisions that were being made. And right now there's some animosity right there at Lakerholics.com. Although, actually Magic Man and myself were just kind of like the Michael Jackson meme of just eating us popcorn while this argument used to go on, because for once, Magic, it's not you or I in the middle of a fight with Laker Tom. So I like that. So yes, absolutely, indeed. But I will say, though, it is great to have you here. Christian Wood is the topic, but it's not just where Lakerholics is at that they're having the discussion back and forth. Should we should we get him on the team? Should we make a sign and trade for him, et cetera, et cetera? It is also the Laker fans out there on social media, because right now, frankly, outside of Summer League, we really don't have much to talk about since Summer League is over and just the after effects of that. Don't have much to talk about in the NBA right now. So Christian Wood, being I don't want to say he's the last major free agent that's out there, because PJ Washington, as a restricted, still is a restricted free agent. So no movement on him as of yet either. So I ask you, my friend, and Magic Man is here. The Magic Man from, as far as he goes from here, the Madman from Toronto. He did get out of Toronto traffic to talk Christian Wood today. It is the Magic Man, Sean Grice. And Sean, great to have you here, my friend. It is the topic that Laker fans are talking about. Our friends at Lakers in 5 have seemingly dedicated like 14 different broadcasts in the last 14 days on Christian Wood, seeing how they can go. That's what happens when the news runs dry. You run out of stuff to talk about. So that's why we pulled out the Lakers History 101. We got more interviews hopefully coming up down the line. And then I've got stuff for you guys planned. I'm trying to get planned and worked out over the course of the next month and a half. So this is just you, Sean, me, and Mr. Quaff, talking at you each and every time. I wanted to give you some variety out there here at the Lakers Fast Break. But it is Christian Wood. He's still a topic of conversation. Your thoughts, my friend, and we'll go heavy on why people are favoring and people are against the thought of trading and even bringing on the Christian Wood to the Lakers.
Absolutely, Gerald. And you know what? Because you astutely and very brilliantly last night took a 30,000-foot view at the 2017 Lakers Summer League situation, I thought we'd do the same thing for Christian Wood.
Absolutely.
And I
hopefully won't be a Lakers History 101.
No,
remember
it
the
won't.
time Christian Wood blew up the Lakers
won't.
fan base?
However, Christian Wood finds himself intersecting with the city of Las Vegas during his high school days, Gerald.
Remember, he's from Long Beach.
Yep. He starts out at Los Alamitos. He only stays there a year. He transfers to Knight in Palmdale, stays there for a year, Gerald, and then decides to go to Finley Prep.
Such is the story of Christian Wood. Yes.
Yes.
I do know Finley Prep.
Yes, and as you know, nobody needs to tell you, Finley Prep won 54 straight games. He was a big part of the reason why. And he basically skyrocketed on the top 100 high school players, Gerald, and found himself, in an envious position. However, similar to his high school days, he's found himself going from camp to camp, never really settling on one destination. And that's followed him from high school to now. So that's,
his time at UNLV was very brief as well. So
yes, it was. Yes, it was. So Gerald, I don't think this is necessarily a case of because all the money has dried up, that necessarily means that there's only the crusts, so to speak, left for Christian Wood. I think there's something larger at play here, Gerald, in that he's bounced around so much, and that where there's smoke, there's fire with him. And I would be very surprised if he signed with the Lakers at this point, just because the longer this goes on, I think the more he's waiting for just a little bit more money, because I think he's only being offered vet mins at this point.
I believe you're correct on that. I think that's something that he is waiting for. That's why I think what went out there was Sam Quinn via Mark Stein, the tweet over the course of the weekend, which talked about a possible sign and trade being rumors being brought up. As far as I think that might have been drummed up by both Dallas and Christian Wood's agent, because Dallas wants no part of Christian Wood,
Mm-mm.
and Christian Wood wants no part of a veteran's minimum. But unfortunately, at this point in time, with all these different players, even the Omar Yurtsevens and Nerlens Noel, they're signing for minimums or close to it. It seems like he's running out of choices, my friend, and it's running out pretty soon.
Yeah, he's the late like the reports were saying earlier, Gerald. It seems as though if this thing with Wood drags on, the Lakers are more than happy offering the contract to Bismack Biyombo. But again, to point out the obvious, Bismack Biyombo can sign with any team at any point in time. So, but maybe the Lakers have a better read on this situation than we give them credit for. It's why they're just
They
waiting
might
it
be
out.
just waiting this out.
Yeah, that's what I think as well, Gerald. Just waiting it out. And I think a lot of other GMs are doing the same thing, and they're just biding their time. And you know what? Maybe that stealth patience is going to pay off, because, like we were saying, he could end up in a lot of different places. But one thing is obvious right now: it would only be for the vet men. uh, as soon as somebody gets waived from, I don't know, just say the Orlando Magic or the Indian Pacers or some other team that's opening up a little bit more cap space, that might be like the smoke signals from the Vatican that they do, that somehow, they're gonna make a move for Wood. But other than that, Gerald, you're right. It's all quiet on the Western Front as far as any conversations with him are concerned.
But the conversations about him are still going at a fever pitch, both for and against. I will say right now that that's part of the juicy fun that we're having as far as the Lakers fan base is seeing this type of, back and forth. Do we want him or do we not on the team? Joe, you and I have talked about Christian Wood and what he would bring to the team. We believe and think that, as a veterans minimum, just like Chris Paul, it would probably be a plus. Outside of a veterans minimum, we're not going to deal with it. But, at this point in time, bringing him in on a veterans minimum, I think would be a sound move, especially the fact that they do need another big and one that can play alongside theoretically if he's, got the right mental frame and really wants to go ahead and help this team win and plays much like he has over the course of the past 3-4 seasons. He can go ahead and be an integral part of this team, at least in the regular season. I'm going to say I'm not, convinced on the playoffs. He can give you that, especially defensively, but I think offensively, especially on the days that LeBron and or AD are out of the lineup, he can give you a scoring punch that you sorely need. I just think he'd be a good fit. It's for if you get the Christian Wood that I have seen over the course of the past 3-4 seasons. But then again, this is Christian Wood, and all bets are off at this point in time.
All bets are off, Gerald. All bets are off. Yes, there's he's the wild card in the deck. You just never know what Christian Wood you're gonna get. Now on the court, likely gonna give you 14, 5, and 7. He's obviously very productive from that point of view. But and Gerald, to his credit, there are terrible defenders in the NBA, and yes, he would be considered one of them. But he is not a complete gong show. Other than I would say Mo Bamba was kind of a gong show on defense. Let's be honest about it. He really was. Gerald wouldn't go that far, but I will.
His,
He just
the theory of Mo Bamba is always better
right.
than the in practice Mo Bamba.
Yes.
His attention, defense, his awareness is just not there. It's
Yeah,
just not
and
there.
Christian Wood isn't on that level of awful, terrible, no good, very bad. He can use his length defensively. He's not useless there. He can be a rim deterrent, not a rim protector, in spurts. So it's not as if the Lakers would have huge deficiency as a backup five, because Christian Wood wouldn't be playing a lot in the playoffs in the fourth quarter. Despite his excellent play, his defense would just be a minus. Um,
Unless he's really hitting it from outside. If he's
yes,
hitting it
yeah,
for the
that would
outside,
be
then
yeah. Gerald's
then
correct.
yeah.
That would likely be the only exception. If he's shooting like a bonkers 38 to 45% from beyond the arc, there's no way he'd play a huge chunk of minutes in the fourth quarter in huge playoff games.
Once again, it is the Lakers fast break. It is the Magic Man, Sean Grice, the madman from Toronto. He did get out of Toronto traffic to talk Christian Wood with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching and listening. No Joe Soro for the next few days because he and his quaff are heading to Detroit for a wedding. And we wish him safe travels indeed, all kidding aside and all apologies aside. We wish him safe travels indeed. But the reason why we did have the show tonight is because the back and forth that many of our audience has seen on Lakerholics.com, on at Laker Tom on Twitter, and also out there in just the general Lakers fan audience about whether or not we should commit to trying to continue to get on this team Christian Wood, or how far will we go as far as the trade is concerned? Because again, I digress to the tweet, which was the start of all this, and which could be the downfall of many things that we know in our life in regards
Mhm.
to Laker fandom, as we've seen, was because of this tweet by Sam Quinn. I think he's of CBS, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. And then he was retweeting or requoting something that Mark Stein was talking about as far as Christian Wood. And again, this I think was all perpetuated by agents and or the Dallas Mavericks wanting to go ahead and have this happen, where a sign and trade would be requested in order to get him to said team, whether it's Miami, Los Angeles, wherever. Chicago was mentioned in the chat in regards to a possible location for him, but really with behind Vuk and behind Drummond, would he really get the amount of playing time that he would get on that team? But he would be able to sign for more money. So obviously that money's been out there, and if Chicago's been offering him, he still turned it down for a reason. So we'll see if that continues to be the case. But the going back and forth between Lakers fans and certain Lakers fans, as our chat knows, has been going strong. It's been very divisive. You heard the comments over this past weekend from Jamie Sweet on this show in regards to his thoughts on him, because he absolutely cannot stand Christian Wood, even though he's lightened up a little bit when he talks to us as far as Christian Wood is concerned, because he just doesn't like the attitude, doesn't like what he brings defensively, and I cannot say I can argue with that. All I can tell you is that this would be one of his last stops and his last options. So I hear what he says, and I understand that. I just think that the possibility of getting him on the cheap and giving him a chance to go ahead and turn his career around would be so great, would be so much of a benefit if all falls in place for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah, absolutely, Gerald. It's very interesting what's happening in Chicago right now, and I understand his name is being floated around with there. I will say this, and we know this historically, is that the owner of the Chicago Bulls is Jerry Reinsdorf, and Jerry Reinsdorf is very hesitant, almost like inexplicably so, to ever go into the luxury tax. And the Chicago Bulls a couple summers ago, Gerald, as we know, spent wildly like drunken sailors during free agency. Now they loaded up for a pretty talented team for a year. But the chickens have kind of come home to roost with their salary cap, and they've just recently found themselves 10 million below the luxury tax. So
Mhm.
they could bring on Christian Wood, but that would mean going back into the tax. And I think you would find it very difficult as a Chicago Bulls executive to really convince Jerry Reinsdorf that putting Wood into the luxury tax for the Bulls would be an advantageous move. I don't see the logic or the reasoning behind it. I don't think anybody would make that claim. Even with their DPE and with TPEs, you can't stack them either. You have to use one at a time. It's not as if you can stack them. That's another idea that's kind of been floated around that's false. I think somebody's just going to end up dipping into their mid level, Gerald, and end up signing them to like anywhere from a 4 to 7 million, maybe in that range. I mean, he's worth the MLE, but no one's going to give it to him at this point. It's all dried up. He's not worth it at this point. And I think he's, you've said this from the start, Gerald. You wouldn't be surprised if this dragged on because
Oh yeah.
nobody came out during the first couple days and signed him.
Deep Purple, I'm just going to say to your comment that I'm now posting on there, that is, from what I know behind the scenes, that is very, very iffy at this point. But we have offered our services to Jamie if Laker Tom decides he wants to jet and not do anything with Jamie, because it's gone back and forth. If you've seen the language on Lakerholics.com, which again, Tears of Joy says, I also do like the drama. Hey, it's a slow time of the season. It's a slow time of the year. Got to have something. Got to have some drama. But Tears of Joy says, I also do like the drama. It's good to have stuff to talk about. Heavy Duty says, it feels like Laker Tom wants to cancel himself. LOL. You know what? I love Laker Tom. Despite the fact he's called me an idiot on the show, he's called me some other detrimental words, and we've had issues off camera, as far as it's concerned. He is Laker Tom, and I do have a great amount of respect and a great amount of love for Laker Tom and his very patient wife and his very loving wife. She's just been tremendous as a support for him and been so kind to myself and also Sean as well. So I've got nothing but great things to say about Tom Wong and his family. I will say though that his decision making, his thought process, his crazy trade scenarios, which as Jamie pointed out was 5 months premature in some cases, because a lot of these guys can't be traded to the middle of December at the earliest, especially if they sign new contracts. He does have a tendency to go overboard, in my opinion, on occasion, but he's just I understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to get a lot of his opinions expressed out there, and try to go ahead and connect with the audience, because it is, again, a slow period of time here, Sean. But when he goes and he talks about one week about Jackson Hayes being that stretch five, that we talked, that he dreams of, then in the next week says that there's no way they should start Jackson Hayes alongside said Anthony Davis. And I'm just going off of his Twitter at Laker Tom on Twitter. Please follow him today. Even if it's for comedy purposes. But
Yeah,
I'm just looking at it now, my
yeah,
friend.
no,
It's not
no,
Laker
no.
Tom.
Me and Jamie have often told them, Tom, we understand if you want to do the whole, fan sided, both sidisms. If you want to
He
stay
sees everything, as I
Switzerland,
told him, purple and gold.
that's right.
No matter how much it blinds him, he sees it purple and gold.
Yes, he does. He does. You will never wipe that That's purple.
Unorthodox. That's good, Heavy Duty. Yes. Go ahead, Sean.
Yes,
Go ahead.
that's a good word.
Yes.
Excellent word to describe Tom.
Yes, but much love to Tom. You know, no matter how crazy those trades gets, no matter what he says to Sean and I, because you know, again, he said a lot of things to Sean that were
Mhm.
not that have made him
Mhm.
mad. He said a lot of things
Mhm.
about me on the show that's made me mad. And he said a lot of things to Jamie over the course of many years. In fact, Jamie's the one that's known him longest here in the Lakers fan base, and he said a lot of things as well. But I think when it comes down to it, this issue of Christian Wood has come to the point where again you're seeing these two guys. They're usually on opposite ends of the spectrum on anything Lakers, to be honest with you. But this has really taken the cake because the fact is, right now you have Jamie representing the fan base that wants nothing to do with Christian Wood, and you have Laker Tom on the fan base that's willing to do anything to get Christian Wood. And I think we're right in the middle. I think Joe, you and I are right in the middle. So if we get him on the cheap, awesome. And that's final master stroke for what we see with Rob Pelinka have putting a little exclamation point on the season. Really good. Uh, that's a great way to go ahead as far as a really good off season, getting a lot of depth and quality players. No big signing, no big player that's gonna transform the team. But
Yeah, like
he,
here's the thing, Gerald.
he got everybody. Let me see. It says Rob Pelinka. He got everybody signed. He got everybody signed under $20 million a year. He got everybody signed on tradable contracts. Even Rui, it got signed on tradable contracts. They all can be traded if, in the case you need to, in case you need to bundle them for a bigger, better player, what have you. But again, a really solid job by Rob. I will give him credit when he deserves it. So I am throwing his flowers out there, and this would be the master stroke to go ahead and cap off a pretty darn good off season.
That's right. That's right. The way I look at this off season is that Rob had to deck out a truck, and he got new chrome, he got a new sound system, he got some nice handles for the doors, and all that's left really Christian Wood is like the dice in the mirror or the car air freshener. That's kind of the last piece of like a perfect sale on the auto car. But that's all he is, Gerald. Like you said, it's not some otherworldly or the earth is going to shake move whether he signs or not. If he signs, he's just fitting right into a role that the Lakers need, somebody with his skill set to balance out the roster, and that would be a great move. If not, it's not the end of the world. You can try and replicate or aggregate what you need from the backup center internally, or you can look externally to try and figure that out. Don't rule out the name Jonas Valanciunas this whole year when it comes to the Lakers and the center position. He could really transform the Lakers, especially offensively.
Well, I don't want to put too. Okay, yeah, he did get eight. I think eight 3 pointers, 8 for 8 one time in the game. He does shoot from the outside. He does have a big body. He does have. He can body and muscle up against Jokic. I did mention him a couple weeks back. I think I was again one of the first to put that him out there as a possibility. And he has a contract in the teens of millions that I think it could be easily traded with something that the Lakers might have to offer because they have contracts in the teens as well that match up pretty good with it. And that's the benefit of having so many tradable contracts on this team now is that if you don't like
Hmm.
what you see, you can move them in a pinch if necessary. But I think with Jonas Valanciunas, I think he does fit a need for us if that was the case, and that would be, I think, great. But he's been traded a couple times now, so
Hmm.
he's not been endearing. He's good enough to play a starting role, but then he's not good enough to go ahead and stay in the starting role with these teams. So that kind of gets you like, they're always looking for better options, even though he's on the team. But then again, with the Lakers, it wouldn't be as much as needed because Anthony Davis is playing alongside.
Absolutely, and to put a better emphasis on it, Gerald, you're right. He has moved around a lot, but he was put in a situation in Toronto where he was allowed to develop, and he developed, and then they traded him for Marc Gasol, and that netted them a championship, right? But he was a very good player for Memphis on their way up and helped them into a playoff team. He's basically helped New Orleans tried to stabilize their offense for whatever reason because Zion can't stay healthy or they've got CJ McCollum injured. So I agree. He has been traded, but he's also been put into situations where it's the ingredients aren't there for him to thrive, and yet he's found a way to be productive.
You know
But
how
like,
much his contract is? I'm gonna go check what it is for
I
this
think
coming
it's
up.
around 18 million, 18,
Yes,
19 million.
so it would be be right around Rui, would be what
Yes.
you were talking about. So let me
Yeah.
go ahead. I'll look it up for sure, but go ahead and continue. I didn't mean to interrupt. My apologies. Go ahead,
Yeah.
John.
No, I was gonna say, Gerald, yes, that's why you sign guys like Rui or D'Lo to those deals because if you need to grab a Jonas Valanciunas.
Actually, it's 15. Just to
Oh
let you
wow!
know.
So that if you traded for Jonas Valanciunas, one of those contracts plus a second round pick, that's a bargain. That's a
Yeah.
bargain. Jonas Valanciunas making 15 million, especially with the cap going up right now, is just that's a bargain contract.
But the goal, devotion says, I agree. We already have people to play the five. Anything else is just icing on the cake. Remember, this whole discussion in regards to Christian Wood, Jonas Valanciunas, is about trying to limit the number of minutes AD plays at the five. AD has specifically said, and he's not made any bones about it. He's been very upfront saying, I prefer to play the power forward spot. Maybe it could lead to longer health for him, longer career, especially the fact that you're now contemplating as a franchise next month whether or not you should offer him an extension. And that's an episode for another day. Let's not get into
Mhm.
that one right now because that's something that everybody is already trying to go ahead and run into the ground this week on their podcast because they've run out of topics to discuss. We're going to save on that one for a little while. But when it comes to Christian Wood, the thing is, if you go to at Laker Tom on Twitter, if you go to Lakerholics.com, again, the back and forth between those two is should you go ahead and go all out in getting him? I do disagree with Laker Tom in saying that, okay, his idea in trading Jared Vanderbilt in the sign and trade would also allow you to get Demoy Hodge, who is now a fascination among Lakers fans, and rightly so, because the kid played outstanding in Summer League. But again, it's Summer League. So let's go ahead and say, Summer League should not be the be all end all. He's on a two-way with us already. So you already have him for a look. So if you want to go ahead and bump him up, you can bump him up anytime. Regardless of the fact if you trade Jared Vanderbilt away or not, you only have 13 spots right now on the roster. So you could bring up Demoy Hodge and Colin Castleton up at any time as a full contracted status, give them a full contract, a full year. You can already do that already. So that should be off to the side. I don't know why Laker Tom was, even mentioned Demoy Hodge in this conversation because you could really do that now if you wanted to.
Yes, yes. There's nothing stopping them from doing that exact same thing, just with all the extras of trading Vando and bringing in sign and trade with Wood. By the way, that's a terrible, 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 no good, very bad, awful idea. Do not do it. I
Now,
mean,
why would you want to help Dallas, who is in need of defense?
right. We're gonna trade somebody younger and like could be an all NBA defender.
In a situational defender. He has
Yes,
some
yes,
flaws
yeah,
defensively, as we
yes,
saw in the
yes.
playoffs, but in the right matchup,
That's up.
he could really disrupt what the other
Yes,
team is doing.
for an older player who's quite the polar opposite of what you have right now. So it's almost like you're robbing Peter to pay Paul if you sign and trade Christian Wood for Vando. Yeah, I've acquired Christian Wood, skill set of a very awesome offensive player, but I have a gigantic hole defensively that's just gotten a little bit bigger because I've had to trade Jared Vanderbilt rather than keep him. And like Gerald was saying, in situations where I need that pterodactyl length and the ability to just hound you around the east and west parts of the court. Yes, he's very valuable, and that's worth keeping. And to me, Gerald, I'd like to see Rob Pelinka maybe in the upcoming year extend Jared Vanderbilt, like extend him. He played well enough in the playoffs to deserve an extension. It's
Uh,
just not his turn yet. I understand that as well.
Kurt, you are speaking very wise, because in the past few days I've spoken about Oklahoma City as a possible landing spot for many players, simply because of the fact that they have so many assets. And today they did waive Rudy Gay, as far as because they have his contract. They're eating his contract as far as in a salary dump from, was it Utah? I think was it
Yes,
it was Utah.
yes.
So basically, they took his salary dump and they were now waving him off the team, making him a free agent. But it's so funny though. There's still 22 players, I believe, on that team at this point in time. So they're going to have to get rid of some more. And if that means like someone like Pokuševski, Poku. Oh, that would
Mm.
be awesome. I'd love Poku. I know he's never been able to get a chance health wise or rotation wise to get the kind of look that he's in, but the kid can pass. I still, from the draft, I was just very adamant. I thought Poku could be a player in this league. I still think he can. He's got to gain some weight and strength still, but he did at times before he got injured look like he was going to be a
Yeah,
decent
he
player in the
can,
league.
and not only that, Gerald, he has the two requisite needs for a backup center. He can box out and he can rebound. And the added addition is that he's a very good passer, like you said. So I would love having him. Like I would take him over Christian Wood, definitely.
I'll tell you what, though, again, as our chat is mentioning it, everybody's taking a look at Lakerholics.com. At least their traffic will be up today, Sean. That's for sure. But
Huge.
uh,
It's huge. It's going through the
yes,
roof.
yes, it's going through the roof indeed. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is the Magic Man, Sean Grice, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching, listening. It is truly appreciated. Again, we're discussing the possibility of Christian Wood on the Los Angeles Lakers, and should we make the attempt to go ahead and get him on the team? Laker Tom at Laker Tom on Twitter says 5 reasons to trade Vander for Wood. Here it comes, Sean. He upgrades the 3-point shooting. Yes. For a team like us that would finish 27th in the league last year in 3-point percentage, I think if you and I went on that team, that might improve the 3-point shooting. And I'm joking when I say that, but he did average 37.5% from beyond the arc last season, which obviously would definitely help the Lakers. Adds elite go-to score to close games. Okay,
Mm,
he's 17 points in the league. I think he scored a little bit higher than that with Houston, but I wouldn't call him an elite go-to scorer per se. I just say that he would be beneficiary of a lot of passes from either AD or LeBron, if that's the case, if he's out on the wing. And he does have the ability to handle it a bit and go ahead and drive to the basket, so he can do a little bit of that as well. I wouldn't call him elite, because if he was elite, he would be on a team right now. He he increases the team size advantage. He's about 6'9", 6'10", depending on who you talk to. So he does
mm.
give you a little bit of that. He still is a little bit slight build, but it's not to the point where it's like really a detriment, because he still can muscle up inside and has played extensive minutes at the 5. Secures Christian Wood's bird rights, which I know that would be valuable if he does pan out, as far as if he plays well, decides to take this seriously and use this as a resurrection for his career. His bird rights would be advantageous for us going forward if we signed him next year to a contract, and leaves an open roster spot for Bismack Biyombo, which for me would be Bismack Miono, because I don't want no Biyombo on this team. Him and his 30% free throw shooting, I really do. I do not like bad free throw shooters.
So
Outside of Shaq, I love Shaq to death. I could deal with Shaq because he's still getting you 25, 30 points. But bad free throw shooters, if you're not a scorer in this team, are just, it's a hindrance. You cannot play them in crunch time because they're just so bad at free throws.
yes, that's right, Gerald. And I'm really tired of having like a bad free throw shooter on the floor at all times. Like it was nice having Dennis Schroeder, Austin Reeves, Troy Brown Jr. Just guys who can hit their free throws on the floor at the same time, and
especially for a team that shoots more free throws than
and
anyone.
it seems like for whatever reason, I'm not sure why, what the karma or just destiny is behind it, but it seems that there are clusters of misses with bad free throw shooting teams. Like they'll collectively as a team, they'll miss 5 of 7 or they'll miss 7 of 10. And at the end of the game, you'll see it. We've seen it time and time with the Lakers, right, Gerald? The
Yeah,
Lakers
but the
might
Lakers
lose,
playoff run, for
right?
instance, as
You'll
Joe
lose,
has pointed out, and I'm going to give all the credit to Joe, seeing LeBron shoot free throws better than he has any point in time in his career in the playoffs, like he did this past playoffs, and AD going back to I can hit free throws at any point in time of the game, not just miss them at the clutch, at the clutch part of the game. I can make them at any point in time in the game. Those guys going back and reverting to that free throws, that really helped us get to where we need, almost to a NBA Finals.
yes, absolutely. Because when you looked at a box score at the end of a game, if the Lakers had lost something like 128, 122, you wouldn't look at the box score, Gerald, and see, oh, the Lakers shot 35 free throws. Oh, and they only made 25. Oh, and they lost by 4. And they missed 10 free throws. You didn't see that a lot in the playoffs. That rarely happened. The Lakers rarely shot themselves out of a game. Um, there was a lot of alchemy and just strategy behind that as well. But I agree, Gerald. So in that scenario, Tom would have Biombo and Wood on the team. So we would have 2 negative defenders on the team. And
Well,
yeah, at the
Biombo's
end of the
supposed to
bench,
be a plus
okay, but
defender.
if we have injuries or something, that's really important. And having 2 bad defenders uh, off a bench is not a recipe for
But
winning
Biombo's
games.
supposed to be a good defender. He's supposed
He's
to be.
he's lost a lot of his hype, shall we say, Joe. He could still block shots, but he's not the rebounder he once was. He can't box out as well as he could anymore, but he could still block shots. That's what he could do. But I would say his defense, uh, is gone for the most part, other than shot blocking.
And Jamie did in his own inimitable way call out Laker Tom on Lakerholics.com on this, and although his comeback was epic, I think it may be the part of the reason why there's a lot of angst right now going on at Lakerholics.com. I mean, you call Laker Tom or hint that he might be a secret Mavericks fan. That might be something that might be bad. But I think again, Laker Tom looks at everything from the purple and gold side. He never looks at it from the other's vantage point of what they're getting. And for a team that is starving for defense, that just got Matisse Thybulle matched and unfortunately couldn't make it to Dallas. If you're a Dallas fan, then again, they'll take any defense they can get. So that's why Jared Vanderbilt would be such a delectable option for them. I'm just sorry. I cannot afford to give up Jared Vanderbilt as someone as far as with your depth, what he does. He may play some games 30 minutes. He may be a coach DMP depending on the matchup because of his offensive inefficiency. But the fact that you have him on the team is a valuable tool that he can play against. He can match up against a 1, 2, 3, or a 4 effectively against most NBA players.
Yes, he can. Yes, he can. He's proven it. He's guarded John Morant and Steph Curry. He's guarded Devin Booker. He's guarded Brandon Ingram. He's guarded Julius Randle. There, that's a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4. Capable of guarding all 4 positions. He made life difficult for Julius Randle by just being able to hound him and uh, make him a perimeter threat rather than being able to drive the basket, Gerald. If you look back at that Laker game, even though the Knicks won, Jared Vanderbilt made it very difficult for Julius Randle. He's also made life difficult for Brandon Ingram as well. Um, He shut down John Morant for the most part and limited his effectiveness as a scorer. Ja was still able to create for others, but Jared Vanderbilt eliminated basically half of the floor based on his length and his speed. Gerald, he was able to keep up with John Morant. Not a lot of guys can do that, and that's why I had mentioned in the email chain there are only around, maybe I can name maybe 7 to 10 NBA players who are capable of guarding all four of those positions that Gerald just mentioned, and the players I mentioned who fit into those slots. It's very rare, and I don't want to trade Jared Vanderbilt and that kind of versatility for Christian Wood. All due respect to Christian, again, very good offensive player, capable of being in a pinch a great pick and roll creator and distributor, can shoot well from beyond the arc. But what he doesn't give you defensively, what he doesn't give you with intangibles, what he doesn't give you with communication is all the issues that teams who have employed him have, whether it was the Philadelphia 76ers, left that organization, went to the Milwaukee Bucks, left that organization, Detroit, New Orleans, Houston, Dallas. He's never been able to stay in one spot. I know that's we've had this conversation before, Gerald, right? When you're walking into a business for a job interview, and hello, sir, my name's Christian Wood. Nice to meet you. I'm an NBA power forward slash center. I've averaged 17, 7, and 7 last year. I think I'd be a valuable part of your organization. Gerald looks down at his resume and says, So last year you played with the Dallas Mavericks. Year before that you played with the Houston Rockets. A couple years before that you bounced around. You were in Detroit, you were in Milwaukee, Philadelphia. Let me ask you a question, Christian. If I employed you, why would I think you'd stay? That'd be one of the first questions I'd ask him, Gerald. And I think that's a huge issue with him right now. Is that's really hard to explain why I should invest in you long term when nobody else has been willing to.
I will tell you right now, though, my friend, there's still much more to talk about on today's program. It is the Lakers Fast Break. It is, of course, the Magic Man, Sean Rice, the Madman from Toronto. He did get out of Toronto traffic to talk Christian Wood with you out there, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching, listening. Yes, PMC, I would take a modern day Wilt the Stilt. Wilt Chamberlain is one of the most dominant centers, and I think he could excel at any decade at any point in time. Just the fact that he could physically dominate then, like he could now. I think he would not get the gaudy numbers that you saw him do back, even when he was with the Lakers. But I think that still he would have a very, very good career in the league. And yes, I would not hesitate. Free throws aside, yes, I still would not hesitate with him. I mean, again, if you're a bad free thrower, but you go ahead and you still make up for it in other ways, that to me is especially with points like Shaq and Will can. That to me is fine. That's acceptable. I'll have to live with that. Despite all the missed points that you leave on the table over the course of your career. But when you have Biombo, who is literally just a dunk in the dunker spot because that's his range, and they foul him every time he goes up, saying you're dealing with the 30 to 40% free throw shooting career wise. That's what you're getting from Biombo. He can give you a block shot here or two there, but for Phoenix last year, why didn't Phoenix bring him back? That's
Yeah,
the question I
exactly,
have.
Gerald. They decided, oh,
They
we'll
need a
go
backup center.
right, and would rather invest in Drew Eubanks, Bol to fill in the minutes in spite of Bismack Biyombo.
I disagree with you, Endorphin. Biombo is not better than Wood, all things considered. I would
I
not
don't think
take it.
so. Not overall.
No,
Not
not
overall.
overall. Now, Wood can do many more things than Biombo can. Biombo, again, he can give you a body that's out there. He can play a physical, could do some rebound. He can rebound. I give him credit for that. Wood can also rebound. He averaged 8 rebounds for Dallas and has averaged double digits, I believe, the year before that with Houston. So he can also rebound as well. He can block shots. I know that Adam has said on this show several times in the past
Mhm.
couple of weeks in regards to his time as a starter, got 2.5 blocks. It's just the man-to-man defense and also the defense that he has to maintain as far as off the ball defense, just keep aware, defense awareness. That's why his defensive rating is so bad, is that part of the deal that he has to focus on. And I think in this scheme, like the Lakers, and the fact is, again, he is playing for a larger contract now, hitting his prime at 27, 28. He now has something to play for again, because the fact that he is now in the midterms of the NBA, my friend, he's persona non grata.
Yeah, he really is persona non grata. Um, that's just the nature of the beast right now. It's just, if what have you done for me lately? Um, just No, overall, Gerald, I agree. Just search. It's just that the point right now is the Lakers need to find a way to fill minutes as the backup center spot. Now, realistically speaking, right now, I know Tom and others have mentioned Jackson Hayes. Jackson Hayes is not a stretch five. He will never be a stretch five. He's only a stretch five in the dreams of of sugar plum fairies.
There
That
was one
some
year that they tried to make
Yeah,
him a stretch five in New Orleans, and that worked so well. They decided the next year, you know what? I think we're good. I think
yeah, no, obviously not. Look,
we're good. Wendy and
Gerald,
Gabriel, don't bring that nightmare back again, please. The kids, got a lot of heart. I'll give him that. But the fact that, again, 6 teams now he's been let go. 6 teams in the NBA. That should tell you right there. Stanley Johnson, he's a small forward. He's not going to be a small ball five for you. I don't. And the fact that, yes, he's been able to manage to stick in the league still with Utah, and I think San Antonio. I think he's still been able to find a place in the league. I'm happy for him, but again, he was very
mm,
inconsistent with, especially on the offensive end.
he-
You had that one big explosive game, like in that national televised game, but there's been other games where he just can't get you what you need to get you. And, at this point
Gerald,
in time, you got to go for the biggest risk. And the biggest risk at this point in time, especially if it's minimal on a minimal salary, I think is Christian Wood.
Gerald, let me ask you a question. Right now, if you had to pencil in the Lakers starting five, here's mine. Okay, I think they're gonna go back to the well. D'Lo, Austin, Rui, LeBron, and AD. If you don't sign Christian Wood, I think that's your starting five opening night. So in that case, you can split the backup center minutes between theoretically now, because we're just talking in specious terms here because nothing's finalized. Basically, Jared Vanderbilt would be is fine as your small ball five. I mean, he's not a stretch five, but yes, he can be a small ball five. Very capable defender. Uh, Two very important attributes AD has always pointed out is that one reason why he loves playing with him so much is that Jared Vanderbilt is very good at rebounding and boxing out. He could do both skills very well. So normally, if Vando is hitting the offensive glass, AD is ready to go back to the paint for protection purposes, or he's ready to reset if Vando got the offensive rebound. It was very coordinated, Gerald, the way they played together. So I don't think it's a huge conundrum yet. You just need to find minutes to fill that void, so Anthony isn't beaten up in May when you need him to play the five.
Absolutely. Again, I think that if he were to come on this team, he knows after this, this drama has dragged out, he understands what's going on. He's not, he's probably talking to his agents and his, all the representatives for him, and they all know that the writing's on the wall. They all know that whatever he has done in the league has not endeared himself, especially after the big contract that he did sign with a lot of promise. And he had every opportunity to go ahead and continue that. And he worked his way out of Houston. He worked his way out of Dallas. even scoring 17 points a game in the NBA and almost 8 rebounds a game in the NBA wasn't enough to keep him at a point where he is a vaunted and desired member of the league. Again, he should be looking at himself internally, saying, what did I do wrong? Where did it go wrong? And again, he needs people in his life to go ahead and say, this is what happened, my friend. This is what happened to you. This is why that you made the mistakes. You have now an opportunity with a team that could go to the NBA Finals in the Los Angeles Lakers and play a key role on that team if you have your mindset right. You can parlay that either in another contract with them next summer or a big contract somewhere else, showing that you effectively giving yourself a second chance, because we've seen it with obviously with Kyrie Irving and some other Miles Bridges, that teams are willing to give players if they think that they can fit to their team and give them a good contribution. Sean, they can go ahead this time next summer and sign him to a contract because we've seen the NBA. These teams are willing to give players a second chance.
They are, Gerald. They are. It's just they're always, in a story like this, right? There's always the climax, right, Gerald? There's always the turning point. And I think Christian Wood has reached a turning point in his career. This is the fork in the road, and he's got a decision to make. I can go to not so good basketball situation and get maybe enough minutes through the first half of the year to make a case as to why a team should pay me long term, and then not play at all or very limited in the second half because I've chosen to play on a terrible team for a little bit more money than I could have gotten in a situation where I'd be on a playoff contending team with a suitable role that allows me to flourish with my skills and accentuate my positives with everyone around me while they fill in my defensive deficiencies, which are abundance, because you have to often push Christian Wood in the direction of his defender rather than tell him where to go.
And if he does, and this search and destroy, I've been saying it. If he has a good year with the Lakers and they go far in the playoffs, cha-ching, he's right back in the money, because all these teams would be like, oh, so he straightened out his act. Okay, we'll throw money at him.
Malik Monk. Look what happened to Malik Monk.
Exactamundo. He left Charlotte. He was a bench player. He DNPs. He was someone who had
Malik
a lot of promise
decided,
in the first round.
Yeah, and you're right, Gerald. Malik decided I'll take a little bit of money from the Lakers because this situation presenting itself will never happen again. I play well for the Lakers. I can cash in with the Lakers or with somebody else, and that's exactly what happened. That Gerald's right.
For my red hair photos. I'm like, were you not here Monday night? I put it on the air.
You didn't see it. Gerald was hanging out with Kurt Russell and Sam Shepard back in the day.
No, those are my good friends Don Larson and Jerry Carmetlian. So I will say though that 18. That was my age when my picture on there. So you can go ahead and check it out on Monday's show. I'll see what I can dig up that can actually be something closer to, or maybe like the century. How about that? How about the century? There you go. Since everybody seems to be so fascinated about my once red hair, indeed. Unlike Joe, I choose not to die anymore. We already went into that story on Monday as well. You have to check out that at the beginning of the show on Monday. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is the Magic Man, Sean Grice, and me, Gerald Glassford. So we have a situation again where Christian Wood is dividing families, Laker families. He's causing a rift in between as far as Laker Tom and Jamie. And Jamie, I've got much love for Jamie, just like I have much love for Laker Tom. And he was a little bit harsh with Laker Tom, but maybe that's because of the attrition, the amount of what was said and done by Laker Tom, and is being very adamant about getting Christian Wood, no matter what the cost, onto this team. And I understand a lot of people talk about how many times he has already said and talked about Christian Wood and written about, but then again, other channels are as well. I gave a shout out to Lakers in 5. Go ahead and subscribe to them. They have like umpteen hundred Christian Wood shows in the past few days. That's all I see light up as far as on my YouTube. So Christian Wood is obviously still a matter of conversation, Magic Man. So despite so many people in our chat saying that they don't want him on our team, he's got a bad
Mhm.
attitude, he can't play defense.
Mhm.
There's people like us that say, you know what, we should give him a shot at the right price. It's now just in the past few days, this because of the Sam Quinn tweet that went out there, this rising level of individuals saying, you know what, trading him for Jared Vanderbilt ain't such a bad idea. That's what they're saying now. I personally am against it. You've said you're against it, but do you ever see yourself starting to lean to that dark side?
Never, never,
Okay.
because in this instance, this is like if you're standing in front of the mirror and you have a nice big shiny set of pearls, Gerald, and
Mhm.
then all of a sudden somebody kicks you in the teeth,
Yep.
i.e., you decide to
Search knows
trade.
what I'm talking about. Lakers in 5 every past few days have that all their shows are titled Christian Wood, Christian Wood, Christian Wood, Christian Wood. It's because we're at a dead time of the season. That's all seemingly people in
See,
Lakersville and
right now
Lakers
you
fans
have
out there can talk about
here-
is Christian Wood.
right now the Lakers have a good set of pearls in them, but if you do that sign and trade for Christian Wood, you're gonna have to go see the dentist the next day. Those are a lot of cavities. That's a big kick in the teeth. You may have to go to Clear Choice after making that sign and trade. I know one thing.
Locked
I
on Lakers have dedicated some time to Christian Wood.
there's no way
Other
in.
shows, yeah.
Yeah. Why,
It's
like,
crazy.
yeah, it is. And let me count the ways again. Jared Vanderbilt hasn't turned 25 yet. He's still on a rookie level contract. You can extend him and sign him to a reasonable deal. He's a very good defender for what he does and what he can bring. He's not the most gifted offensive player, but he can finish in transition. He's got a little bit of a distributor in him. He's got great backspin on on his half court passes. He does much more positive things for me offensively than anything Christian Wood could do defensively. And I would not make that trade for all the whiskey in Ireland, Gerald.
Now, I would not go that far because
I would.
if he does, well, pardon the pun there. Uh, I would say though, if he does have a good season and he does prove to be the player that a lot of people still hope he can be, and still a lot of people think that he can be, he would be ultimately a more valuable player than Jared Vanderbilt because theoretically, if he gives you a decent enough defense, he is so much more skilled offensively. And I'm just putting that out there. I'm not trying to go ahead and all Laker Tom stuff. I'm just telling you potentially if he plays to that level like he did a couple years ago, or like as he did on the tail end of his career with Detroit when he got the big free agent contract from Houston. That's the reason why is because he was playing at a level defensively where he's effective enough, but offensively he was really, really doing a great job. That to me would mean more valuable than Jared Vanderbilt, but that's only in a top tier what if scenario if he ever reverts back to the way he was playing at the end of his Detroit career and most likely and part of his Houston career before it went off the rails as well.
Yes, yes, Gerald. And in that instance, if that were the case, he would be a likely six man of the year candidate. I mean, he would probably likely
Unless
still
he
have,
starts.
unless he starts right. If he did have that starting role, he would vaunt himself into a
If he
big
could give you
candidate. Now,
17 and 10,
yeah,
if he gives you 17 and 10, if
I-
he comes right here tomorrow, he starts in camp and he starts alongside AD and gets you 17 and 10.
yeah, guaranteed, guaranteed. Yeah, of course. Like you can pencil that in. Plus 5+ assists at least. If Kevin Durant can average 5+ assists with the talent that's around him, so can Christian Wood on
But
the
again,
Lakers.
which Christian Wood are you getting? I
Kidding.
can't even answer that question,
No.
and the kid is from Long Beach, near my neck of the woods when it's pardon the pun again, when I lived in the Southern California, I was lived near Long Beach in that area. but also as well, he played at UNLV here in Las Vegas. And, I really want the kid to succeed. I really want the kid to bounce back. But I don't even know which Christian Wood you be getting if he decides to come on this team, and only he can answer that question. But Kurt, in the scenario, let's say he's playing like the guy that was at the end of his Detroit career and playing like the guy that, initially was playing well for Houston, you could get a guy that Braun passes to on the outside, hits the open jumper from three, but also as well can take the ball on the drive, can roll on a pick and roll because he's pretty good as for pretty decent as a roll guy as far as a 6'10", can give you that option. He can do a lot of things and variations of things that Vanderbilt can't. But I'm still with the if factor and the questionable factor there, Sean. I don't think I'm ever going to lean to the dark side as well and say, you know what, it'd be wise to go ahead and the Lakers to give up on Vanderbilt. I just think Vanderbilt in the right situation, he's a situational player. In the right situation, he can give you what you need now, or you could utilize him in a trade at the trade deadline for something much more special.
Yes, and I think the latter rather than the former there, Gerald, should be emphasized for the Lakers. I mean, this is just PFC. Shout out PF Chang's in Long Beach. It's that good, huh?
He lives in that near that area. He's big shout out. I've been to PF Chang's, not the one in Long Beach, but PF Chang's. They've always got great food there, especially here in Vegas and in Cali. I've had a more than my share of PF Chang's. So big shout out to them as well. Please sponsor the show.
Gerald, and we do know the behavioral issues. We can point to we don't have to.
That's my guess, intel, by the way. That was just my guess. I don't know that for sure. So
yes, we don't need anecdotal evidence. We have empirical based factual evidence. He was suspended by the Houston Rockets for poor behavior. We know this. He's had a bit of an attitude problem in Dallas. Now, Gerald's mentioned this before. Jason Kidd has his own issues as a coach and his communication style or lack thereof, but it goes both ways. It takes two to tango. As Gerald has stated previously, he just can't find a way to stay in one spot where the situation is comfortable for him and the team is comfortable with him. That has never materialized for Christian Wood as of yet. And Gerald is correct. And Lakers in 5 is correct. And I think I'm right when a lot of us say this is the last kick at the can for him if he wants a big payday. Because he'll be next year, he'll be 29. Usually in the NBA in 2023, it's very, very rare that somebody 29, 30 gets a big payday. People start really clutching their pearls.
Well, I don't know. Some people got some hefty paydays here this offseason that were pushing 30 and above.
Well, I mean, some of these guys are also, in their between 25.
See Robin Lopez.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was kind of a bird in the hand, so to speak, Gerald, because in order to make sure that you got Brooke back, he had to bring on Robin. That's one thing they've always talked about. They wanted to play together.
Brooke and Robin. Robin got a nice little paycheck as far as the minimum. Brooke got the big contract.
Yeah, Brooke got the big contract.
2 years, $48 million. But see, he's in a bit again. Depending on how you age in this league, depending on how much
yes. And to be fair, Gerald, Brooke Lopez is probably like the most he is the surfer dude from California. Like he doesn't look like the typical surfer dude, but that's Brooke. He's very chill. I've never seen him really get angry on a basketball court. So Gerald, I don't think Brooks ever had, behavioral issues or problems getting along in the sandbox, working with other people as Christian Wood has. And you know what? Gerald's mentioned this before. In the NBA today, your behavior plays a big part in your contract. It didn't used to be that way. Charles Barkley, used to be able to throw people out of 4-story windows, or or there'd be Michael and Dennis Rodman would be able to gamble till 2 in the morning or go to Vegas. It's not like that anymore. There is a microscope on everybody today as an athlete, and if you're not watching your P's and Q's, a team's just going to get rid of you. Your talent is only as good as your production. If you're talented and you're not productive, you're not worth the headache. That's the rub. If you're talented and your talent speaks for itself, you're worth the headache. But once you stop being productive, you are just a headache and not worth the hassle.
Not worth the hassle indeed. But great points there by MagicMan, Sean Grice. Want to go ahead and mention some new viewers that have popped on, some comments that they left. Vanessa Canaleja said she's trying to will. I think with her comments, she's trying to will Christian Wood in there because Charisse fans, Lakers, free agent signed Christian Wood. Lakers, yes, free agent signed Christian Wood. Lakers, free agent signed 2 players, Lakers. So I'm assuming that she's trying to will that into reality as far as Christian Wood signing with the Lakers. And more props to her for that. Thank you so much for being part of what we do at the Lakers Fast Break. Hunter Jules says, who do you think would start, Rui or Vando? I say Rui because of the contract. Hunter, I'm actually going to agree with you. I know that Dave McMenamin still thinks that if they don't sign Christian Wood and they don't put him in the starting lineup, Sean, that Vando would be the starter. If you put things on even play and you took contract out of it, which unfortunately always comes into play like this, I think Rui is better off the bench. I think he's better as your 6th man coming off the bench. He is more versatile. And also, as well, he will probably play better against the second line, the second unit of other teams, and be able to dominate a lot more effectively against those teams than, let's say, a Jared Vanderbilt if he's coming off the bench. So I'd say if you have to put, a basketball to my head, because I don't want you putting a gun to my head, a basketball to my head, and say which one I would rather start, I'd just say Vanderbilt. But then again, you have another non-shooter out there, which is kind of troubling to me. Rui, again, because of the contract, you're probably going to have to start him just because the sheer pressure that NBA teams put on you for, we signed this guy for X amount. Better put him in the starting lineup. You also don't know which Rui you're going to get, as we've discussed. I'm hoping for somewhere in the middle from what we got in the playoffs to what he's done lifetime behind the arc. So I'm hoping for around 37, 38%. If you get that, that's a win. I still think it's most advantageous. Let's say Christian Wood aside for a second. I still think it's advantageous to go ahead and get Rui off the bench. But still, Jared Vanderbilt starting, because of his lack of offense, is not the answer. Not 100% the answer as well.
No, it's not. But here's here's kind of where I think that you've got really solid options in the bench. So you're likely going to bring Gabe Vincent and Max Christie off the bench. We're hoping that's your 1-2 punch as combo guards off the bench. Add in Taurean Prince. Is Jared Vanderbilt really that terrible of a choice at small ball center, Gerald? He can run the floor, he can rebound, he boxes out. You don't really need him to be a shooter if you have Rui Hachimura, Taurean Prince, Gabe Vincent, and Max Christie on the floor.
Yeah, I won't argue too much on that. It's just Vanderbilt's the hard one to plug in. Vanderbilt is the hard one to plug in either
Yes,
as a
I
rotation
agree.
guy or as a starting lineup guy. But yet we want to keep him, my friend, because of the situation. And because, in playoffs, it's all about matchups and situations. So he may not do wonders for you throughout the regular season. But as we saw, right matchup in the playoffs, you throw him out there, he can give you 10 to 20 to 25 minutes of really effective defense against a certain player in a certain situation.
Absolutely, Gerald. And it's obvious that I really do think that, like you said, that framework and that narrative of Vando for Christian Wood. Now, Sam Quinn is excellent at what he does. He was not like I disagree with what was going on at Lakerholics in the sense that there was this inference that somehow Quinn was doing the implying. Quinn wasn't implying anything. Mark Stein was the one who was implying what
Because
could
Mark
happen
Stein
there.
has a line to Dallas, and that was
He
something that
does. He
it's
does.
either from
Yeah.
the
And
front office there, which sounds like it was because he lives in Dallas, or the fact that he might have been asked by the representatives to try and facilitate that rumor out there. Which again, the mouthpieces such as Shams, Woj, those guys, they are often the extension of either the front office that wants the rumor to go out or the agency that wants their feelings and thoughts to be sent out there. So it's always the public battle, the public relations issues that go out there and the word that goes out there because they're trying to will something to happen as far as, a Dallas getting someone in who can play defense for them on a defensive deficient team. That's why they had to pay what they paid for Grant Williams because they have no defense right now. And Derek Lively is going to be a couple years away before he can really give you what you need. And then you also have the fact that Christian Wood's representatives want him to get on a good team, not have to go to Chicago and deal with that mediocrity and go on a good team for a much better price.
absolutely. And I could almost picture Darvin Ham giving the people's eyebrow uh, to anybody bringing up the fact that perhaps he would sign and trade Christian Wood for Jared Vanderbilt. Aside from Anthony Davis, the biggest defender and the biggest cheerleader that Jared Vanderbilt has is his head coach, Darvin Ham. I don't think Darvin would want him to be traded at all, Gerald.
Although
Um,
Adam says though, Adam's in the chat. Great to have you here, Adam. But he says Phil Handy says that Vando's much improved right now. That must mean his offense.
you
How
know
long
what?
ago? Wait, well, let me ask you this. A couple quick questions that'll answer
Sure.
this question. How long ago was the end of the playoffs for the Lakers?
I believe that was the end, May 25th, 26th,
Yeah,
around there.
so it's been a little over about 8 weeks, close to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's taken some few shots, but then again, he hasn't been taking these shots throughout the course of his career already.
No.
So, and the fact is, when have you heard a coach say, "Oh, he's been doing really lousy in summer workouts lately.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
really,
no,
it's been
no,
awful. He's been
yeah,
terrible in summer workouts. The
yeah.
guy deserves not to even be in the NBA." They never say that. So they're always
It's
telling
yeah,
you, they're always throwing the
effusive. They're
flowers.
always effusive with the praise.
He's
Yes,
working so hard. He's doing all the workouts. He's doing what's necessary. I hope he is working hard. I hope he is
yeah.
working hard on his shots. I
It's
hope he is
usually
putting up
effusive
1,000 a
praise.
day.
Yes, it's usually effusive praise or complete neutrality. Because I remember when Aaron Baines was trying to make a comeback, and the workout didn't go well at all, but it wasn't very reported, Gerald, because
Yeah.
out of respect, like Gerald was saying, it's either effusive praise with workouts or you try and maintain complete neutrality.
Yeah. They
If
never
it's
tell you that he did
really
awful
bad, yeah,
off-season
it was
workouts.
awful. He was terrible. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's the worst. He's the worst player we've ever had in the weight room, and
Yeah.
we're not
He
going to
was
win.
lazy. He took out a lounge chair and just sat and drank soda all summer. Yeah, no, he didn't say anything.
Yeah,
You know,
we've got
they're never gonna
security
say
tape
anything.
on him, just drinking all the coke. Yes.
Robert Boogie Cousins has been with the Lakers when he was hurt the year, but he's also actually tried out for the team last year along with Myers Leonard and some others. That's when they got Tristan Kardashian Thompson, who I can say freely because Joe is not here to get really pissed at me at.
Mhm.
Robert, I would say that, I know he's working out here in Vegas. I think Boogie still lives here in Vegas, but he does work out here. And I guess it's just the fact is they just don't feel it. He's going to be effective on the defensive end because the injuries have mounted up and he's just so slow footed. And he's a volume 3-point shooter, but he can still stretch the floor. But yeah, I just don't think Boogie Cousins is going to be doing it for a lot of people out there at this point in time. Again, he tried out for the team in the closing months as the Lakers were trying to finalize a big man, and they passed over him to get to Tristan Thompson. And I think that speaks volumes right there.
It does, Gerald. It does, unfortunately, because um, that was that was a statement in and of itself,
But
considering
great
that.
to have you here, Robert, and thanks for being part of the Lakers Fast
Thanks a
Break.
lot, Robert. Welcome aboard. Yeah, that was telling. That was telling that he was chosen over all the other options.
Myers Leonard, yeah, just there's a few that they tried out at that point in time, and they just, you know,
Well, my only and again, like Gerald's saying, we'll never know. But my guess is that that situation, nobody wanted to touch that with a 10-foot pole. But you try and help agents out, and it's networking, right, Gerald? That's
Mhm.
that's a lot of what the business
They were
is.
doing it here in Las Vegas while all the games were going on as far as the summer league. I know I was talking to my good friend Rafael Barlow. He was going all over the city to specialized workouts with not only AAU players, younger players, but also a lot of older players trying to latch on. Henry Giles III. That's a name that's out there that actually had extensive workouts. Obviously, the workouts didn't go as well as planned because nobody's brought him on. Nobody's
No,
signed him, and it's been now over a week. Then you had also Dion Waiters. You had some other names as well brought out by these agencies for the special workout in workouts here in Las Vegas. And we haven't seen anybody signed from this as of yet. So that tells you right there that even though there were scouts, there were individual GMs watching in Vegas, these guys, they're just not doing it for them. I think that again, the Lakers are playing the long game with either Christian Wood or somebody else, and they're in no rush. They're they're only 1 million, I think, under the cap at this point in
yeah,
time,
that's
under the
right.
first
That's
apron.
right. That's
So
right.
they're not in any hurry to go ahead and rush and sign somebody. And I
Mhm.
know Laker Tom had mentioned on his Twitter again, go ahead and sign Demoy Hodge as far as they can do that already. They already got him on a two-way. They can give him a regular contract. They can go ahead and give Castleton a regular contract. Why are they not doing that? Because they don't need to. They still have two open slots that they can fill if they decide to go ahead and do so. I think the Lakers, like the rest of the league, with the Damian Lillard trade, with the James Harden trade, with the Pascal Siakam trade, with a possible Joel Embiid trade, they're all playing the long game as far as this is concerned because as the league is going on vacation, it is just now time where we're going, you know what? We're going to go ahead and make the move unless if it's actually right for us.
Yeah, 100%, Gerald. And there are just there's still like there are slim pickings out there, as we were talked about the other day, but there's
And
still
they've gotten
ops.
even slimmer.
Yeah. So
From
we're
your
talking.
from your video the other day, they've gotten even slimmer.
It's even smaller. Yeah, we're down to like Nerlens Noel, Dwayne
No, we're not.
Dedman.
Sacramento got him 1 year, 3.1 million.
Oh, okay, I missed that. I missed that
You're
past
at
couple days.
7. Utah
Oh,
got him.
he's gone. Yeah, Yurt Seven's gone. Yes.
Mhm.
So that leaves like Dwayne Dedman, Moses Brown, and who else have we got? Like you're really going down the list here.
Yeah.
It's
It's
Tony
getting
Brad. I think Tony Bradley. Like we're really like you're scraping the barnacles off the bottom of the ship as far as backup centers goes. Yeah, now that Noel's got, that's basically it as far as a useless center. Anybody else is just basically, I think, a live body at this point, Gerald, rather than a productive one.
which
Um,
I think they're playing the long game, and I think they're
yeah,
playing it for Christian Wood. And if Christian Wood doesn't want to go to the Lakers or Christian Wood doesn't want to sign for the minimum, Lakers say, okay, we'll go on to plan B.
yeah. I mean, it's not without out the realm of possibility that somebody waits like up until and maybe including training camp to bring him in.
I tell you what, a lot of good things still to talk about when it concerns the Los Angeles Lakers this summer. We're still going strong. We've still got a lot of things that we want to go ahead and bring to you. I think actually what I'm going to go ahead and arrange is I'm look actually on Twitter now at Lakers Fast Break. I'm talking to the Birds Right podcast. The Birds Rights podcast is something that Stone Hansen turned me on to because I know everyone out there wants to know more things in regards to the CBA. Sean, I ask you, he's asking me, should I try to sit down a time for tomorrow or Friday with the Birds Right podcast on the show talking to CBA? Let me know, man.
You know what, Gerald? I think tomorrow sounds good, brother. Let's do it tomorrow.
I'll see what I can do. I can't guarantee on that yet. I'll schedule it out and post it for everybody. If I can lock him in on Thursday, if not, we'll get him on Friday. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I've also got, again, trying to work on behind the scenes, get more shows for the month of August that we're going to work on. Plus also as well, hopefully I can get L Rob back so we can do more trivia. So we can also go ahead and maybe start school because the school year is coming up.
Mhm.
So more Lakers History 101 coming at you here in the not too distant future as well. Plus NBA profiles of all the teams. That's my goal before the season starts, is to get individuals from around the country to talk about their teams and what they see in the Lakers as well. So I'm hopefully going to go ahead and do that over the next few days, trying to line up different individuals. Plus, again, I've also got the guys as far as from my draft experts, Michael Weisenberg, Rafael Barlow. Hopefully I can get those guys in August as well. So looking forward to some great shows here coming up. Mark says, can another team poach a player a team has on a two-way contract? Is there any way? No. Once you have them on a two-way or an Exhibit 10, they are, unless they decide to release them out of that, then it is something that then they can do. But if right now, once they're on Exhibit 10 contract or a two-way, they are with that particular team. So for instance, like right now, Alex Fudge is on the Exhibit 10, then Cole Swider, Castleton, and then also as well, Demoy Hodge are the two-way guys. If the Lakers do not fill up all 15 slots of the roster, they will only be allowed to keep two-ways. And if that's the case, they'll drop one, and most likely we're thinking it's going to be Cole Swider. But again, it all depends on what they want to do. Or will they bump up Castleton and Demoy Hodge? That might be something that they might be considering as well. So we'll see. There, I think, playing a waiting game when it comes to Christian Wood is someone that they could fit this team very well, in my opinion, if you get the right Christian Wood. And I'm not going to put 100% on it. I'm not going to be like Laker Tom blindly that's saying that, this is going to happen and what he does. This is what he can do if he's in the right frame of mind. And I'm hoping that would be the case and that the Lakers will get it done, hopefully at some time down the road. But all the detractors, all the people who are negative on it, from Jamie to everybody in our chat who is not in love with the fact of getting Christian Wood, I'm not going to fault you. I'm not going to blame you because, again, I think this is an individual who has made his way into the league, then is trying to do what he can to earn his way out of it. And he's got to go ahead and change that this season, my friend.
Yeah, and things change pretty quickly, Gerald, if you're not paying attention. If you're not willing to work harder, the guy's going to take your spot. Remember that there's that old story about the University of Miami and the great Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, before he became the fantastic wrestler, was actually a 4-star football recruit. He was actually a great football player before he was a wrestler. But as Gerald, yes, and as Gerald and Joe know more than I do because I was a little younger at the time, but the U was stacked at the time Dwayne went there. But Dwayne was coming off a pretty good junior season, but there was another guy playing the same position, Gerald, by the name of Warren Sapp.
And see, that's the funny thing. These days, they would just go ahead and say, okay, these are two talented guys. Why don't they just play them together? Because you have the end rusher. And it's all different now than it was back then. But back then, you're right. Once you were slotted into a certain position, that's pretty much where you stayed. And of course, we saw what happened to Rock. He recovered okay.
He recovered pretty well, as Gerald has said.
Yeah. He's done okay. Once he got used to being in front of the camera, like he was used to being in front of at the ring, then everything seemed to be work out. But
yeah, absolutely.
We smell what the Rock is cooking, and it should be L.A. Knight. Yeah, but it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Gerald Glassford along with MagicMan Sean Grice. We do want to apologize again for no Joe Soro this evening. I'll apologize as much as I can because I know he might be listening or watching in the chat. trying to see if I can irritate him with all my apologies, but he will not be here until next week. So we do apologize for that. But before we head on out, my friend, want to hear some last thoughts from you, my friend. At this point in time, you're in the war room. You're in, as I go ahead and I often put my guests, put my co-hosts, put my fellow panelists into the boardroom, into the Lakers office area. You've got 13 slots already filled up. You've got 2 open slots. You do have the 3 two-ways. You do have the Exhibit 10. Your thoughts on what you do to go ahead and finalize that before training camp begins?
Yeah, you know what, Gerald? I'm still gonna offer him one last time. Veterans min. You have a starting role on our team as a center. You're slotted beside Anthony Davis. I can almost assure you, if you play 65 plus games, as Gerald has said, you're likely going to average 17 and 10. You're going to get a lot of buzz. You're going to be looked at
I would say on
as
a team like ours, 15 and 8. If you
yeah,
get 15 and
mhm,
8, I'd be
yeah, yeah.
happy. Be just
So
ecstatic.
So you're talking about being, one of the 7 or 8 most important players on the Lakers, the most eminent franchise in the NBA. You're getting the exposure that you need. Christian Wood needs more exposure on national television. He's a very cult like darling amongst hoopers and experts, but he doesn't really get a lot of the same, shall we say, juice nationally, as he should, as his game requires. However, as Gerald has said, unless he goes to a team that has a lot of that exposure, he's not going to put himself in that position where he's coveted. And being coveted in the NBA means getting a big payday. And that's what he's looking for. So I would offer him the vet min and all the perks that come with it, and all your deficiencies that you have defensively, Christian. Well, we can surround you with defenders and shooters and make you less of a liability on that end and less exposed on that end, which also bodes well for the both of us. It's a mutually beneficial relationship. Or you want to take a little bit more money than the vet min, so you go to a team like the Orlando Magic or the Charlotte Hornets, and maybe you play 30 minutes for the first 25, 35 games. You average 20, 14, and 6, but then the team craps out, like literally, and you're left sitting on the bench, and you're Christian Wood, and you're about to turn 29 in September, Gerald, and you don't know where your next paycheck's coming from because you decided that in the short term, for a little bit of money was better than the long term where I could sacrifice for a year and then have my life changed in an off season.
Well, I'll tell you what, my friend, it's been great having you on as always. Joe Soro, wishing him safe travels to back east for him to the Midwest, to Detroit, Michigan for this weekend. If you see him out in Detroit, say hello and apologize to him in person. There you go. Absolutely. Be great to hear from him indeed. But looking forward to some great things with Sean and I. Going to line up some good shows here over the course of the next few days as well. Hoping that we still have a Lakerholics show on Saturday. Again, we've made our services available in case Jamie needs it because the situation at Lakerholics.com is going. I normally wouldn't want to bring this stuff out in public, Sean, but my God, they did. So you know what?
They
There you
did.
go.
They did. Yeah, I will say this, that um throughout the
I
years,
love both
I've
those
known
guys, though. I
I
love
love
both those
both of
guys.
them too. We have to be perfectly honest. This is a little uncomfortable for us. We're
Oh, I've been called an
laughing.
idiot by Laker Tom, so
Yeah,
it's okay.
exact. By
And
both of them.
stupid.
Yes. But I will say this. Um, I've known Jamie and Tom for
Longer than I have.
yeah, it's gonna be 15 years next summer in 2024. That's amazing to think. So I have a long-standing relationship with both men. I must say, gentlemen, I had a laugh at both of your expenses reading that back and forth. I must say, it takes two to
As did I.
tango. It takes two to tango, but it was a little humorous. But I will say this: all things aside, Jamie and Tom, we love you guys, and Tom, we hope that things get patched up and Lakerholics remains, and you're still the number one blogger because we need you back, Tom. So get back on the horse and do what you do best. And Jamie, we know you're along for the ride no matter what happens. So let's put this aside. Families fight, but we always get along in the end.
If you say so, my friend. If you say so, indeed. But once again, it's the Lakers Fast Break. Big shout out to Nick Molina, who sent a congratulatory word to Sean in our email, LakersFastBreak at yahoo.com, which you can always send us comments there or put it below on the situation going on at Lakerholics.com or what we're talking about when it concerns Christian Wood. We'd always love to hear your thoughts, or reach out to us on any social media platform, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, Kick. My gosh, we're everywhere. Go ahead and check us out today at Lakers Fast Break. Subscribe today to get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air. And yes, we still have shows for you upcoming. We're not going to slow down. We're still going to have several shows a week. That's what we're planning on. That's what we're going to drive through. We're going to try and get to the goal before the season starts of 1,000 subscribers. We're so close, less than 80 away. Hopefully we can get that boom, boom, boom right away, but we'll see. I'm not counting on anything before it happens. You know me. I got to see it happen. I got to see Christian Wood play like I think he can play before I say it's going to happen. That's why I don't have 100% confidence in this whole situation. So again, I got to see it happen. You know me, I call it like I see it, but I got to see it before I call it. So I will say though that Mark says, just a follow up, can a team sign a regular contract G League player to a full NBA contract? Yes, if they're like for instance, Mark, the South Bay Lakers. The South Bay Lakers will have most likely, let's say, Demoy Hodge, Castleton, and Alex Fudge. They don't get a full NBA contract. They'll be playing a lot of their time in the G League for the South Bay Lakers. But the South Bay Lakers will still have what, 10, 12 more individual players on that roster to play games. Almost all those players are not contractually bound to the Lakers organization themselves. Only the South Bay Lakers, unless they get an offer from one of those teams. Case in point, during the pandemic, when the NBA teams were just like getting all these players, all these different players as far as from, that you never heard of, that were not regular NBA players. All these NBA players were getting a chance to go ahead and be part of the roster. Like Portland did it, and they're losing season as well, as far as, once their season with Damian Lillard went awry with his injury a couple seasons ago, they got all these different players from the G League that had, they tried to get the worst players that they could from the G League as possible so they could have the worst record as possible. You'll see that again, if somebody's season goes awry, they'll try to do that again. So to answer your question, yes, if they have just a regular G League contract, they're able to be plucked from the G League at any point in time. Jay Huff is a great example. Jay Huff, at the end of last season, was plucked off the South Bay Lakers by the Washington Wizards, who utilized him until the end of the season. Now, he didn't stay with them. He played on the Summer League roster for Houston, but he's now got a two-way with Denver. But I'm just giving you an example that, yes, as long as they're not contractually obligated on a two-way or an Exhibit 10, they can be plucked off the G League and given an opportunity in the NBA.
I believe the first player who ever signed from the G League was Chris Anderson, Gerald. So yes, if you're an impact player in the G League and you're unaffiliated with any roster, you are open to signing.
Because that's what it's there for. That's what the G League is there for.
That's what it's there for. Yeah, it's like almost. It's not a minor league.
It is a minor league. It is a feeder system.
Yeah,
it is. And Phoenix just announced that they're going to be the final team to get a G League team here in the next
finally,
couple
yeah,
seasons. Yeah,
it is.
finally.
But it is a minor league system, and it's about time that this happened because, as we've pointed out previously, Gerald, last season, over 33% of the minutes played in the NBA were by undrafted players. And the previous year it was 25%. So there is a huge, huge pool that NBA teams now use to find talent. It's not just at the shallow end of the swimming pool anymore, Gerald. Now teams are willing to go out into the middle of the ocean if there's talent available to scout and see if they can sign them. So it's truly come a long way. I've waited a long time for the NBA to sort of have a minor league system as well. So, there wasn't this pool where if you were semi talented, you would basically become a roster player, a rotational player, then you would go to the end of the bench and not find much success. And you would only have 3 or 4 years in a rookie contract to prove yourself. And now teams are willing to be more patient, more steady with talent, especially with young talent. And it's come so far, and I'm just happy for it because one of the 5 teams who's been able to take advantage of that big pool, Gerald, is the Los Angeles Lakers.
Once again, it's the Lakers Fast Break. It is Magic Man Sean Grice along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching this thing. Mac McClung, who was on the Lakers for a little bit, he was plucked out of it by Golden State, but then they waived him. But he ended up winning the slam dunk contest as a member of the Philadelphia. What is it? What's their Phil? That's not the 76ers.
The Delaware.
Delaware 76. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
He was actually a member of the Delaware 76ers when he was brought up, and he won the slam dunk contest, and then he was brought up later in the season, I think, by Philadelphia and played a minimal amount of games as well. So yeah, it does happen. It does happen as well.
And it's kind of funny. 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon again going to the Delaware 76ers. Pat McCaw won a G League championship, Gerald. So that's 3 NBA titles and 1 G League title for one Pat McCaw, who will be the answer to many spurious and random trivia question about NBA champions in the future.
I do want to go ahead and say it's been great to have everyone here. SD Hydro coming in. You all make good Lakers content. I mean, just everybody in the chat room. No trolls today. You all been awesome. Best Lakers chat room that's out there here at the Lakers Fast Break. Appreciate the kind words from SD and everyone today has been most appreciated, especially still, even 2 weeks later, my friend, they're still thanking you for being back on the air. That's how much love you have. I noticed I miss Joe's though.
Yeah, I mean, you know what, Gerald? I'm just truly thankful.
I know nobody ever misses me. That's no big deal. But Joe,
it's amazing.
That might deflate his ego, though. Sean.
I don't think you could, even though.
There he is. See, he just joined us in the chat. You knew something would get him. I've been trying to get him involved.
Poking that bear all night.
Yes, and I did. Finally poked enough indeed. Great to have you here, Joe, in the chat. Pat McCaw, 2 chips with the Golden State Warriors and 1 with the Raps. Absolutely. He's walking around somewhere
and
in
1
Europe.
with the Delaware 76ers.
Yeah, exactly. Right there. But he's got his 3 rings indeed. But I will say it's been great to have everyone here. The best Lakers chat room that's out there is the Lakers Fast Break. Search says, I defended you, Joe. They all turned on you. And Joe's like, yes. I'm just kidding you, Joe. You and your new quaff are having hopefully a safe travels to Detroit. Hopefully everything's good there. Hopefully you'll be able to come back to us soon. You said you'll be back on with us by early next week, so looking forward to that. But once again, it's the Lakers Fast Break. Just trying to go ahead and lock up which day I can get the guy from Bird Rights Podcast, who I'll give a formal introduction here on the show here very soon, talking about the CBA, because everybody out there wanted a CBA podcast. So we're going to be talking about the new collective bargaining agreement And that, I'm looking forward to discussion on that. Hopefully MagicMan can join me as well. Looking forward to that. Plus, anything pops up, we're going to be talking about here right at the Lakers Fast Break. So for MagicMan Sean Grice, MagicMan, who says, Joe, watch the hair dye. Doesn't melt in the sun. And of course, Joe's response says, comb your hair right back at you. It is Gerald Glassford. Please go ahead and check out the ongoing battle that is the Lakerholics.com site. Go ahead and check out what we're talking about there, or at LakerTom on Twitter. It's still, those guys do a lot of going back and forth, but they do put a lot of great work into their product at Lakerholics.com. So go ahead and give them some love indeed, or at least go by to just go ahead and check out what we're all talking about today when it concerns Christian Wood. But for MagicMan Sean Grice, it's Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching and listening. We will see you tomorrow, because we're not slowing down just because the NBA is. We got more to bring you each and every time out right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. Bye, Joe.